Okay, so here we are, number 4 of Molly's 5-point health plan. Once again, we're talking water, diet, sleep, exercise. Probably my most difficult, in all honesty, the most difficult thing I have to do. So over the course of the last, 3 decades that I've been a physician, I've watched it go from everybody needs to exercise 3 days a week for 20 minutes. When you really think about it, that didn't make any sense. So I'm really going to tell you that optimal health is that you move as much as you possibly can. So even at your desk, if you're standing, you're going to do better. We were designed not to sit in a chair all the day long. It actually puts your back out of alignment. It does all sorts of things. But what I'm asking from my clients, what gets an A on my 5-point health plan for exercise, is that if you're physically active for an hour every day. So I'm asking everybody to be physically active for an hour every day. And that if we're really optimizing that our exercise is different varieties, so that every good exercise program has flexibility, strength, and aerobics. So all those 3 things are really important to a good exercise program. So, and it doesn't require, like when I'm talking to a child, I don't talk about exercise. I say, do you play? You don't want to, exercise have gotten a bad name in our culture. It's like a chore, okay? So I'm trying to get people so one of my old teachers said that if it's the right type of exercise for you, it's as good as sex. So to me, that means that it might be hard to get started, but once you're there, it's lots of fun. So that's, for me, it's like skiing. By the time, who wants to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to drive up to Stevens Pass? But once I'm there, I'm having lots of fun. So, and I'd rather have people be physically active on a daily basis than tell me that they exercise for 4 hours on the weekends. So I'd rather have you do 10 minutes a day every day than an hour on Saturday, because that body needs to move. Now, why does the body need to move? First thing, our immune system, which the channels for the immune system is called the lymphatic system, does not have a heart. There's no pumping organism to move your lymphs around. The only way your lymphatic system moves is by massage, so you can pay somebody to move it. Hot and cold hydrotherapy treatments, so I always recommend people take cold showers after their hot baths or hot showers. But exercise. So exercise, the muscles pump the lymph. So your immune system gets better if you exercise. Your heart is, and all your blood vessels, if they never get stretched and shrunk and if they're not exercised and they don't keep flexible, you end up developing plaque, you end up developing cardiovascular disease, the heart gets lazy, because the body, remember I told you the body's always making the best choice it can at the time, and if it doesn't need to put out energy to exercise, it will put the energy somewhere else, and those organs that are not used will then, if you don't use it, you lose it. I mean, that's true of almost anything. If you don't use your brain, you lose it. If you don't use your heart, it gets weak. So, and I personally have found that if I don't keep up my exercise program, I decompensate. That's the terminology we use for, I lose my endurance in 3 days. But I really do lose. I find that when I'm swimming, if I don't swim for a week, that the next time I swim, it takes me longer to get back up to what I need to get to. We exercise to keep our heart and lungs going. We exercise to pump that fluid around. We exercise to get our immune systems going. It's not just about weight loss, okay? It's not about maintaining your optimal weight. It's really about keeping all the systems going. If you had a car that you parked all winter long, the oil would congeal, the parts would get rusty, and that's what happens when you don't move this body that we have. It needs to be moved. And it needs to be moved in a variety of different ways. So the other 3 components I was talking about is aerobics. Aerobics is mostly for the heart and lungs. Flexibility is you're only as young as your spine is supple. That's a very old. I'm sure that you've heard that before. Your muscles will get tight if they don't get stretched. Your fascia, what people never talk about is that, and it's become really apparent to me in my own health recovery in the last few years, is that we have bones and we have muscles and ligaments, and over that entire body is kind of a fishnet that we call fascia. And if you haven't heard this yet, then here's your first time you're hearing it. That fascia is as dynamic and probably more important than your muscles and your bones. okay? And it exchanges nutrients and it carries toxins. I know that if you've watched my other videos, you know I'm a breast cancer survivor. All these people end up with neuropathy, which is pain and swelling and numbness in their toes from chemotherapy. I don't have any, none. I'm going to tell you that. It's totally possible. Do not accept that you have to have that. And I've had more chemo than anybody in my practice, so I am a total candidate for that side effect. But what I do know is that when I get lots of deep body work on my fascia, I get the neuropathy for a number of hours. Now, why is that? Because I think I'm still detoxing from the chemo and I'm releasing it out of my fascia, and your body will always take stuff from the core and move it away from the important parts, okay? So that's why it's in your feet. You know, it's far from your brain, your heart, and your lungs, which are vital. Your feet are not vital for you to live, okay? We've seen lots of people that live without their feet. So I'm just letting you know that that's part of why you do flexibility. You move your body in different, if we always move in the same way, your fascia is going to get stuck. You know, health is associated with flexibility. So I'm not even talking physical flexibility. I'm just talking about the ability to be flexible in your life. You know, things come at us and we can move around it, and that keeps us healthy. Once again, aerobics, flexibility, and then strength. Lean body mass is really, really important. They find that besides attitude, the centurions, or the people that live over 100, have been physically active. They've walked. You know, if you look at all those zones, the places where everybody lives the longest, they're physically active. They keep their muscle tone. The recent research came out on PTSD because all the vets are coming back, or any emotional trauma. I have to tell you, only 20% of emotional trauma can be processed verbally. Our body maintains a memory physically, and if we don't move it, we can't let that go. So I was listening to this really amazing psychiatrist about how all he does in the VA system, in the vet system, is talk to people about how to move their bodies, including, you know, whatever your thing is. And he goes, I got people that are ballroom dancers, and that's what gets rid of their PTSD. So it doesn't have to be at a gym, with a yoga class, it doesn't have to be that. It just means, in fact, one of the best exercises there are is walking. If you walk and you pick up the pace, if you can sing Swanee River, you're not walking fast enough. And if you can't carry on a conversation, you're walking too fast. That's pretty easy. But if you walk, you're doing aerobics, you're doing strength bearing, and you're doing flexibility if you make your strides strong enough to, you know, to change that. So, and I think you should do a variety. Variety is the spice of life. So food-wise, most Americans only eat 16 types of foods, by the way. Exercise, movement, all those things you should do a variety. That's what I have to say about exercise. And it's my personal challenge. I'm now on a 3-week every day, so I'm hoping it's there. But I tell you that something throws you off. It's got to be a priority. It just, and best time to exercise, by the way, is in the morning. You know, but better to exercise than not. You know, better to take a walk. They used to call my parents talked to us about how you had a constitutional. Remember those? You would eat a meal and then take a walk. That was your constitutional. Well, walking increases your digestive juices. You digest better. Your gut feels better. 20 minutes of exercise is equivalent to an antidepressant. If we would just get that out in the general public, we would get all these people off these antidepressants. So it used to be proton pump inhibitors were the #1 American drug. It is now an antidepressant. That speaks volumes to our societal disconnection. And here we are in a culture that has more quote-unquote connection, and people are feeling more alienated. So why don't you ask a friend to take a walk with you? That's what I would suggest.